Hello everyone, this is Hanna with eXp Realty. I am located in the Acreage Plaza currently, where we have our branch office, and I've been there for 3 years, and we are expanding to the southwest corner of Seminole Pratt Whitney and Orange Boulevard. But while we are a branch office in the Palm Beach area of Loxahatchee, we are eXp Realty. eXp Realty is a movement, and each week when I come to you, I will come to you with strength and conviction and purpose, because the virtual world that we are experiencing is being able to sustain many service industries and many realtors. So as I go through this next period of time, which will go between 30 or 60 minutes, I am not coming to you with my own personal knowledge. I am more humble than that. I feel that I'm proud of what I know, but I only try to convey forward the fantastic information that are gems of wisdom to listen in on by the leaders of industry. And when I say leaders of industry, that is not a small statement. These are individuals who have had thousands of realtors underneath them, that have had multiple handfuls of franchise offices with themselves, and have leveraged themselves through what we now have within the eXp model. So I'm not going to just speak with the jargon of eXp along the way. I'm going to get only into facts and motivational thinking. Hi, Raquanda. Now, as we go through this live, I might say hi to a few here and there. That is just a wonderful appreciation for those that are joining us live and commenting along the way. The substance of our gathering, though, is going to be a summary of this past meeting. Each week, eXp Realty from the corporate team holds a Zoom call, and these Zoom calls are having tens of thousands of views each week. Our live from last week had 1,000 views, and that's a great compliment. We are very proud to be able to share forward the wisdom that we assert ourselves to take notes upon and share forward on these weekly business gatherings at 4 p.m. every Monday. We keep it light also with having some fun trivia in between. I gather about 10 questions that are not real estate quiz related. They are more topic matter that you would possibly see in any real estate trivial pursuit sort of game. And so as we go through this, I'll break up the discussion with a little bit of trivia, and I hope that you enjoy that. So I do have notes that I'll be referring to that are just notated on the computer in front of me. So when you see me look to the side, that's the purpose of that. Well, last week, the hosts, which are Gene Frederick and Scott Lewis and Rob Flick and Brent Gove, these are tremendous hierarchy within the eXp model. They have had 3 calls so far during our quarantine time, where they rose to the occasion to be motivation for our entire agent world. That is nearly 30,000 now. And the past 3 weeks, they've had 3 amazing guest speakers. They've had the co-president, Dave Connard. They had Glenn Sanford the Saturday prior to this past week, who is our founder. And then this past week, we had Jason Gessing, who is our CEO. So what, again, I'm grateful to do is to pass forward their gems of wisdom as I have taken notes with them. Now, Brent Gove, he spoke about waking up and getting going. So what are we doing each day? Do we wake up and maybe just transfer ourselves from the bed to the couch and then turn on the television and give ourselves the excuse that we're in quarantine and so therefore there's nothing else to do? Or do we get up, shower, shave, get ourselves dressed in a way that we can look in the mirror and really see the person we know before we all started becoming quarantined? Hi, Robert. Thanks for joining us today. That is what I do. I might have 2 outfit changes for the day. My morning outfit will be with my children for school time. I set some wheels in motion at about 6 o'clock in the morning on social media, and then for the morning I'm with my children and we're doing schoolwork. Come around the afternoon when I might have a conference to be part of, I switch my shirt just like Mr. Rogers and I'm in another mindset. And so that's the hat of transfer that I've had for this afternoon as well. Take your day seriously, rise to every occasion, and live on purpose. Live intentionally and conduct yourself each day intentionally. There are also other quotes that come forward that I had not heard of that I'm glad to be hearing, and this particular one that Brent had shared with us this week was, "It is not the force of the gale, but the direction of your sail." So if the winds are tremendously strong, and make no mistake about it, we are watching the waters rise before a tsunami comes towards us. Change is taking place. A new norm is what we will have to come out on the other side of our quarantine with the capabilities and the skill set and the assertiveness to be able to know what do we do with the way the world has changed, and to make sure that as we have reinvented ourselves to a certain degree, we are sustainable, because this will be something that comes in waves as well. It will rescind and it will come back, and it will rescind again, and it will come back until it is fully taken under control with vaccinations, if that is the path this goes to. So make sure that whatever you're doing right now, you are in it for the long run. But stay positive, stay excited, stay vigilant. And as we spoke of last week, we are at war with change. And if you're at war, you are a soldier with intensive training. And when you're running into the front line, you are with your head held high and you have your mission very clear at hand. Keep that vision. If you don't have one yet, make sure you get your vision board going. Make sure you are surrounded by tremendously positive people. Make sure that you are attending continued education, and make sure that you stay strong in your skill set. You will need that empowerment. And make no mistakes, if you are not going into regular classes in some environment, then you are going to dwindle. And that is not an option for those of us that are going to make sure that we provide service to all that want service. And if you are going to want service, we have more than 100 classes that are live each week in the EXP world, and with great privilege and desire to serve, we are offering those guest passes. They are free, they are no obligation, and you do not have to be EXP in order to come into the world and sit in on those classes. We give 60-day guest passes that do not expire for that period of time, when previous to this quarantine, those were only 2-week passes. So they have extended those greatly to be able to be of service, to be able to bring the community of real estate together, because to have the real estate industry survive will make all our agents have a lively industry to partake in. This is not an ulterior motive. This is a preservation intention, and that's what those guest passes are for. So make sure that you contact me and get one of those guest passes. We are grateful to those that requested those guest passes last week, and we will continue to walk you through and tour you in all the advantages we have to offer. So to be excited is one thing, but are we being encouraging to others? That is your other responsibility to your society, to your world, to shine forth with positivity. You want to put yourself out there. Putting yourself out there, we all have a phone book in our cell phones. You can get in touch with people. There are many people who are alone who will very much so welcome a nice phone call, and be light about that phone call. You don't need to speak real estate. You can simply ask them, what are they doing? How are they feeling their needs are being provided for? Do they need any information that maybe you can help and research for them and provide to them? So you want to keep it simple, but you want to build it big, because while you are being genuinely intended on reaching out to everyone, you're going to instill a reputation about yourself for being a strong individual who is a servant, but is also strong and capable. I used the example last week of my favorite animal, the humpback whale, which is one of the largest animals on Earth. It is the most humble. It eats krill. It does not go and attack. It simply swims peacefully and has the strongest tail if it needed to, but that's not the way it lives. So be meek, but be strong, and be direct and be powerful. So progress is very good. One thing to speak about on that point is you have the EXP virtual model. This was a model that 10 years ago was completely new. The strength of EXP is on the foundation of Virbela. Virbela is also owned by EXP World Holdings. It was a separate company beforehand, and since it then built the technology for EXP's world, EXP World Holdings acquired Virbela. Now Virbela is stable upon the largest gaming platform in the world. We mentioned it last week, Fortnite, which is a very popular gaming platform of interactive gaming. That is the same platform that Virbela is sustained upon. So the strength of the world of EXP with its technical virtual capabilities is always flexible and agile, which is one of our core values of EXP, is to be able to maneuver and be able to shift as shifts take place, which we are amongst one of those moments right now as well. So make sure that you have the facts about EXP while you are knowing what you can then take advantage of within the live classes that are within the world. And I'm always here to provide those facts. So to lighten this up a little bit, the real estate trivia, that is always fun to just see what kind of questions have been asked and see what history has shown itself in times of real estate and the topics of such. The first question that we have is, what is the most expensive residence ever built in the United States? What is the most expensive residence ever built in the United States? These are Jeopardy questions. I have some friends that are amazing at Jeopardy, and they can just say questions and answers this way. I'm not one of those, so I find it fun to grow my knowledge through fun games. This answer is, when it was built, Hirsch Ranch in San Simeon, California, cost over $30 million, which now in today's dollars is $277,883,320. So again, that is the Hirsch Ranch in San Simeon, California. That is the most expensive residence in the United States. Our second fun question is, the world's largest residential palace belongs to whom? The world's largest residential palace belongs to whom? That answer, again, is not just one that comes off the top of your head, so I'll quickly answer that one. The Sultan of Brunei. The Ishtana Zurul Iman Palace has 2,152,782 square feet with 1,788 rooms, 257 bathrooms, and a 110-car garage. These answers are mind-blowing to actually think what people, actual human beings, are able to accomplish. Now, things get accomplished over centuries, and people that carry forward that sort of lifestyle naturally are having it follow suit through what they've inherited. But the fact that something that strong to be able to have a residence that's over 2 million square feet large, that just sounds like a corporate structure, but that is actually the world's largest residential palace, and that belongs to the Sultan of Brunei. Our third fun question for now is the state of Alaska. The United States government paid $7.2 million for what piece of land, but by whom was it purchased? The state of Alaska in 1867 was bought from Russia. And that was in 1867 for $7.2 million. An entire state. Now, to bring ourselves back to real estate, Scott Lewis is one of the ones that hosts the EXP Zoom call each week. He used the statement of setting your bar higher. I know that this is something that when you're an entrepreneur, you're always setting your bar as high as you can. This is a time that is beyond like any other. To set your bar is crucial for you to know what is it that you're trying to make sure you maintain your vision and your mindset on. I know each day I feel a bit of angst because I feel that there isn't even enough time in a day to do all the progress you actually have available to you with all the additional juggling that many of us are doing by taking on school with our children, for example, or even wondering how to make the most of many of the financial relief programs that are going on in the country as well, and to make sure you're positioning yourself financially and that you're evaluating your expenses and you're streamlining yourself so that you're going to be sustainable through this indeterminate amount of time. So there's a lot to do with your mind and your self-analysis in order for you to be able to be sustainable. So people still need a place to go, though. We are of human nature. We want to connect. I know that with our office at the Acreage Plaza, while we are not physically open other than for individual very basics of needs, we have our virtual office in the world, which is equivalent to 10,000 square feet. We have 20 offices, boardrooms, meeting rooms, walls that are already pre-programmed to have the MLS shopping so we can bring in buyers and sellers and give presentations to. We have different commercials that are on each wall in certain rooms that are dedicated to each townships, so you can get to know about each town as well by going into our suite. And we continue to bring forward empowerment to our agents, to one another as management, and also an environment where we can bring together regions of top agents so that we have one another to bump into while we work together and have intentional meetings that we come together to be able to collaborate. And that is leveraging what opportunities you have to set your bar higher and make what seems impossible become possible, become what you're able to actually make the most of. And we have that in a very agile way within the world, and I'm very, very grateful that within 7 days of becoming quarantined, I was able to expand into such an environment and efficiency. So you want to make sure that you increase your efficiency. So when you need a place to go and you have a guest pass available to you, and even in Verbella itself, it has an entire campus which is not even a real estate related campus, but it mirrors the real estate world of EXP World. That is a place to go that is simply for the download. You can go download Verbella and you can message me and I can provide you the link to doing so. And you can go in there and send it to friends of yours, and just to get together, because Zoom, not everyone knows what to do with Zoom. Even when you do get to know with Zoom, you have surprises that come and go sometimes through the way the world has certain elements out there that have other intentions for what we're going through and then impose themselves on those automations. You can go into the world, you and your friends, your family, they can actually come in and walk side by side with one another. Go to the virtual beach, go to the virtual forest, go to the virtual pirate ship, the lighthouse, or go into the various courtyards and sit and talk. Hey James, nice to see you. So what we're talking about is connection. Glenn Sanford, in his vision, always wanted to have open campus for connection. So now that this time has come where we need to be able to still have connection, you have that available to you. So little by little each week, I will continue to educate everyone on what is available in that way, how to access it. It's very simple. Just simply message me. I walk you right through it. But a simple download can give you an environment where friends and family can come together, and it's not in the EXP World, but it's in the Verbella platform that is owned by EXP World Holdings, but you don't have to be in real estate whatsoever to be able to be in that world. So just know that connection is available, and we are here to be of service to you and make those options available. So what you're wanting to do is be sustainable. 10 years ago, EXP was thought about not being able to be a sustainable model because of the way that it's structured. And that's a whole nother discussion of how it's structured. But now, franchises have had to essentially close their doors by CDC obligation. There's no longer an option to go into those. The franchise owners are strained by expenses that do not go away. I am a physical location owner, and I thank goodness that we are able to be sustainable just in the investment side of our lives. But the hardship that goes on to a franchise when it has a geographic constraint, where it has agents that are feeling confused and don't have somewhere to go when they felt that that's what they needed, and therefore that's why they had that franchise to go to. Now EXP, the model we have, is the sustainable model. With over 600 MLSs that we are part of, that would require otherwise 600 different locations that at this time and over the next period of this spin, I'm not going to call it a downturn, it's a recreation time. Hi Tina, nice to see you. During this time, there will be financial strain on those that have physical locations. EXP does not have to close, not one location, because of its virtual environment. And that virtual environment has grown, expanded, and increased what it offers to serve. It has hundreds of employees that are in there to perform every administrative role that with a franchise office, you'd have to wait to find out someone who has readjusted their world in order to be able to even conduct their administrative roles. EXP is seamlessly sailing through this disruption. Now, you want to, again, be proactive, not reactive. You don't wait until another month or two take place where you really start feeling the squeeze of what's taking form. You want to get ahead of that curve. I knew the day we came into this quarantine, it was not going to be a quick turnaround. And I've equated it in a couple of venues that I'm part of with these live calls about the ark and how you have 40 days and 40 nights with torrential rains and you're shut in. It's not until a year after the rain stopped that the olive branch in a dove's mouth came to show that there was land again to go and occupy. So even with a period of time that might be a little bit more on the reasonable side, there is still a world of recovery and a world of new models that are getting put into place where people have become part of a new norm of how they school, how they conduct business, and how they know that they're preparing themselves for if there's a return of a disruption and to not have to recreate themselves again at that time. So stay proactive and don't be reactive, and find those that are positive. Find those eagles that are flying. Find those that are inspiring you and creating inspiration within you to have vision, and make sure that you hold on to those relationships dearly. And if you don't have those relationships, embrace someone. Find a group. Find somewhere that you can be part of positivity and make that your own. I offer that forward with every one of these live calls. I have again been in this community for 3 years, very strongly persevering through building a business to serve my community. And so with the 500 followers that we have plus that are part of our Facebook page, I'm feeding forward conviction and vision and purpose and assistance in every which way that we can. And that will consistently remain for as long as you need it, and then afterwards as well. Now, Gene Frederick is another one of our amazing mentors and leadership within the hierarchy of the corporate model of EXP. Hey, Sherry, nice to see you. And he has a tremendous story, although he was with, I'll just say it, he was with Remax in the 80s, he was with Kelly Williams through the 90s, and in 2015, he became part of EXP. He had 5 locations. He owned California and Hawaii for the regions of franchising as territories and had multiple locations. Shifts take place that are paradigm shifts, and certain people that have the eyes for when that is actually happening know when to take part in that paradigm shift. He is one of those individuals. And so when he came on in 2015, as I mentioned, in 2010 or 2009 when EXP started, when Glenn Sanford had the vision of a virtual environment during a downturn in the housing industry, and he had physical locations, but he got proactive and he created himself a virtual world that would not have to have the expenses of brick and mortar. And that model was blowing the minds of anyone he was trying to describe it to at that time. But entrepreneurs who have vision, people who are the paradigm shift seekers and followers, and the eagles that fly together, they don't give up on those visions. And then 5 years later, it took 5 years until 2015 until Glenn's operation still only had 400 realtors. And their vision, as Jason Gessing later explained in this past week, their vision was that by 2020, they would have 10,000 agents. Now, Gene got involved in 2015 because of Glenn and Jason's heart, because people follow people. And he joined because of them. And he sold all of his other franchises in Keller Williams. 5 years later, the 10,000 has been far exceeded. It is nearly 30,000. And it is because the agents who have come in have gained excitement about what they are experiencing, and they're sharing that opportunity forward. So that is why this explosive growth is taking place. Now, to digress, because this is not always just an EXP presentation, which I will have no excuses or apologies about being extremely confident in EXP's model, and I strongly encourage anyone who's going to want to be proactive, not reactive, and reinvent yourself in a sustainable way to take up every bit of the offer of these guest passes, to find the facts out for yourself. So once again, I say I don't make any apologies, but at the same time, I want you to make sure that you're listening to what is being offered to you as information that you can take with you and still add to your day-to-day life in the real estate industry. Be positive. Gene Frederick was saying, get efficient with the work that is to be done. Stay with positive people. Get on the telephone. Make 200 calls per month. That's 10 a day. Call friends of yours and simply ask for the referrals. You never know right now that there are financial hardships that are beginning. And that means that some people with their housing are going to need to be assisted in short sales or in refinancing. And it is your profession and with your relationships that you can refer people to amazing mortgage brokers that can refinance them at good interest rates. You can also assist them in having the hardship guidance in through maybe getting ahead of themselves before they're in foreclosure. So matters like that, you never know who needs that conversation or who knows someone else who needs that conversation, that because you made that phone call, you're finding out that there's a person who needs help. When there are hurricanes, there are people on top of rooftops as the floods have taken place. And I was not even thinking I would discuss this story, but my father passed away in a flash flood because of a dam that broke, and he saved a handful of people's lives by taking them out of the water, and then got caught in the flood as it was continuing and was not able to escape that flood. But in that story, because there was a book that was written about it, about Toccoa Falls, there were families that were on top of rooftops that were looking for those lifelines. So for you to have an opportunity to be in that helicopter looking for people to be able to save, that is what these live calls are for. I am out there making myself available for anyone who can take the humble approach to listening to these business gatherings and then therefore say, I do need help, whether it's in continued education because I feel like I just need to keep my mind busy because an idle mind is a treacherous thing. That is available to you. If the inspiration to making phone calls, that this causes you to get on the phone to friends of yours and family of yours, and that phone call turns into an opportunity to save someone else's hardships, then that means these live calls are making purpose and making opportunity for you to get inspired to go and help people and be of service. That's what you are supposed to do when you feel that you are living in truth to why you call yourself a servant of housing. And many of us that are servants of housing are servants in many other aspects of our lives, in volunteering, in teaching, in church, in community. We are servants in our blood, and we will make ourselves available to make sure that those people that need a hand out to be held, that we are offering you that hand. So make sure that you live in gratitude for that, and then when you get that opportunity given to you, you pay it forward. And that's how our society will rise and stay a positive society. So attitude is everything. Now I'm going to go into real estate trivia to lighten that up because I know I do speak strongly sometimes. But again, that's what I'm here for, especially on our business gatherings. First question, and I do 3 at a time. Where is the most expensive piece of property per foot ever recorded? This is a worldwide question. It's not just a United States question. So where is the most expensive piece of property per foot ever recorded? Naturally, it's not going to exactly be an answer any of us have at the top of our mind, so I'll answer it quickly for you. In central Tokyo, Japan, the Mediya building was quoted at $248,000 per square foot. I know here in Loxahatchee, our average is about $175 a square foot. So you can only imagine, putting that in perspective of comparison, the Mediya building in Tokyo, Japan was quoted at $248,000 per square foot. I think that some of these questions are just mind blowers to let you really keep in perspective the grain of sand we really are as people on the beach of life itself. Our next question is, where in America is the house that is considered to be the first with running water? Where in America is the house that is considered to be the first with running water? The answer is in Newport, Rhode Island. The John Hetty House was built with an underground pipe from a nearby spring. The ingenuity of people over history to be able to make running water take place. I know that even in book reading that we do with our children or documentaries we watch with National Geographic, you'll see those that are, let's even say, living in the rainforests, and they will dig holes down into the ground, they'll pack that dirt, they'll carve out the sides, they'll create underground housing, and they'll bring in bamboo from a waterfall, tie it together with the strings of whatever their material of plantage is, and bring water that they'll then fill and make pools in the middle of an underground residence that they make. When you know your only options are to be desperate, to pressure making diamonds. An old colleague of mine many years ago said, pressure makes diamonds. When you're under pressure, you'll be your best after that pressure. So don't resent that pressure. Embrace that pressure and see what you can truly become and how brightly you can shine. So when you see the first running water going on in Rhode Island, or whatever story you want to put to magnificence, that magnificence is in each one of us. When you take a feeling of desperation and absolute necessity and you make that strength serve you, and then you become your best after that. Keep that always in mind with what your vision is intending to make you into. The third question, what are the 3 most common toxins for which homes are tested? What are the 3 most common toxins for which homes are tested? The answer are lead, asbestos, and mold. The toxins are tested by specialized inspectors as a regular part of real estate contracts. Now that one was a little bit more real estate trivia, and I'm sure that a few of you out there knew that, or those that will watch this in hindsight will know that question's answer. So back to the comments of Gene Frederick with attitude being everything and thinking about what you can change. Rob Flick actually was saying, read positive books. This whole library behind me, those are positivity books that I've read over the decades that my family is grounded in. Your personal thought, your affirmation is what's going to make what you believe. So what you perceive is what you believe. So you have to do some sort of responsible understanding of the news, while at the same time filling yourself with a balance of what is going to feed your heart, so that you can wake up in the morning without dread, that you can wake up with inspiration and conviction for what your day will have at hand. You want to, what he was also bringing up an example for, and not all of us do this, but even if you do it on a small scale, it's going to be beneficial. But every day, he is writing down with his wife 20 things that they're grateful for. So keep gratitude in the forefront of your mind. What are you grateful for? Even if it's a Post-it and you want to put that on the mirror in your bathroom and you just, I'm grateful for this, or I'm grateful for that on the refrigerator. If you have children in your home, they're watching how you are navigating yourself through this experience. If you don't, you have an inner child, and that inner child is growing and coping based on the outside you, who is guiding and comforting and consoling your own inner child. Be tender to yourself. Make sure that who you are inside is being served with some sort of positive food and nourishment. Taking continued education. Continued education is something that a lot of times when you're not forced into quarantine the way that we are right now, you might think you're too busy staying on the hamster wheel. Well, continued education is now maybe something that you do have available to you. I know that there are some realtors that were saying, I'm just taking a break from things right now because being assertive within this climate is something that not everyone knows exactly how to do, and everyone tries their best at being part of that. But if they're taking that position of conceding to it right now, you can still rise to continued education. Our EXP World had 147 live classes just last week. And these classes, they are only taught by icon agents. Now, icon agents, it's not always a term that everyone knows out there, but these are those that have maxed what is a cap, or they've maxed what their number of sales or their contribution amount is into a company with their 80-20 split in the case of EXP. But many of the cappers, they cap within a month, and then all year long they're at 100%, and they're getting stock advantages, and they're just doing many of the other aspects of the profit model that is sustainable within EXP. So the EXP trainers are only the top of the game throughout the entire country and now parts of the world. Because once you become a double capper, which makes you the icon agent, you are then asked to contribute an hour a month as part of community to being a teacher within the world. So 147 classes. We are watching brokerages, and this was described by Jason Gessing this past Saturday. Brokerages are running over to EXP, and I don't say that lightly, and running is not a happy statement to many people. But when those brokerages know they have a responsibility to, let's say they have 100 or 200 agents, or maybe even more, that their franchise is having a responsibility towards, and those realtors don't have a place to come into, and they're experiencing that their top producers of their franchise are slowing down a little bit on their production, and that's not to say anything about the rest of those that were halfway producing to begin with that are now possibly not producing anything other than what was on their pipeline to begin with, if those sales didn't cancel themselves. And that franchise now has all those expenses still going on. When if they take that shift and they become virtual, while their office is going through a floundering time until further notice, they can still shift all their people over into a virtual model and make sure that they have got all the training that will sustain them through an uncertain time. So if you are a brokerage owner, whether you're mom pop with a few agents or you're a few locations with hundreds of agents, this is a serious model to consider, and it only has to be what makes sense for you. But if you truly put the numbers on the back of a napkin and you have a high-level meeting, you will find that the numbers will work in your favor, and it may save many families. And before agents depart from you, you might actually be able to sustain them and keep that attrition from taking place. And that's a choice for you to make for whatever you feel is best for yourself. Now, when you think about what is it that you can change, we can't change whether or not we are quarantined. We can't change within our own capabilities whether the medicine world is going to be able to come up with the cure fast enough or the vaccination fast enough. That you cannot change. You cannot change the way that we are social distancing yourself, and when you're out shopping for groceries, you're taking your life into your hands, many of us feel, even though it's not as dramatic as that. It could be for some of the families that are out there that have compromised immune systems or elderly within their home environments. So every time, I even know, when I went out to go through a drive-thru today to pick up some prescriptions for my mother-in-law, you come home and everybody already knows. Put that in the garage, wait till it's cleaned, go straight to the bathroom, cleanse your hands, the whole 9 yards. And if you even go grocery shopping, you come home, change your clothes, shower, everything is completely mindful of that. That's something you can't change, even though you can be positive and responsible about it. But what can you change? You can call agents and offer them support. You can call friends and make sure that they're doing all right, and if they have any real estate needs or their friends do, that you can truly be a guide in those times. And if none of that is what's on the table, you can still provide a tender ear to listen to. You can provide resources and information that maybe they don't know what they have access to, what stores are delivering, what the shifts are that are going on in terms of how you're able to interact outside of your home. These are important pieces of information that you just want to be of service if you can be. So share your ideas and let others share their ideas with you. We are not the only ones who have information to give. Others are wise as well. And by being on that telephone or writing that letter and getting a letter in return, they might be able to feed you something when you thought you were the one going out to them to help them. They are then in turn really there to help you. So God works in mysterious ways, and sometimes when you think that you're the one going out there to help everyone, you're actually the one out there seeking the help by spirit, and it's finding you. So I'm going to give you Jason Gessing's feedback. There were, when the call shifted into Jason's territory and those that were hosting asked him certain questions, Jason has been there since he's named as the number 2 in the company with Glenn Sanford, but he was around the 40th that came into EXP, according to his words. He was asked, how is COVID changing the industry? That's a big question, and I would not even want that question asked to me because I'm very big about saying I am not a crystal ball for anything, and therefore any sort of information I would ever provide forward, it would only be the information I came across through intentional engagement with others that actually have more answers than I. So Jason Gessing, he commented to that question of what is COVID doing to the industry? He commented that we were already in an election year. So as an example, during election years, housing industries kind of get questionable. So whether it was going to be a market shift because of a different picture of presidency, or people's speculation of what that all could mean, or if it just happened a little early because of COVID, a market shift was generally on the horizon. So the water's been rising for some time, and whenever people all asked me previously, how is the market going? I truly, and up until the very last moment, always experienced a strong industry. And even right now, if you're selling, your appraisals will still come in based on sales that have taken place within the past 6 months. These new circumstances haven't even come into play with that yet. So if you're looking to sell, right now is still a very good time to do so. And as the shift then recovers and the financial industry stays ahead of itself and keeps people on relief programs, this seems much more sustainable than it was before in keeping financial security happening. But there was a shift that was about to take place nonetheless, and that was what Jason had responded, whether it would have happened now or later in the year due to elections. But virtual has become the new norm as what is now taking place. So to elaborate on that, a lot of big conventions have had to cancel themselves, and everybody knows from the list of everything you've heard on the news of different sporting events and proms and many different aspects that have been canceled or at least postponed or are yet to be announced. And so these large conventions, we had one in August and it was going to be at particular resorts, but we didn't have to cancel them. And in the world, our events are even larger. We actually have Tony Robbins, who in August is going to be in our EXP world, and it's not going to be some thousands of dollars sort of ticket to be part of. Tony Robbins will be in there to keep all our agents fully inspired and motivated and be live within our world. Our events are continuing and are seamlessly able to continue being organized. So other worlds, Deloitte, Stanford University, the Secret Service, there's different schools throughout many states going throughout the country that are coming into the world and going to Virbela and having Virbela create worlds for them. So the avatar virtual world is sustaining, it's even recreating a new work standard. So people do their work from home. They also have a safe environment within the world. There are many human resource aspects that are addressed, that are cured by having a virtual environment. So the virtual being the new norm is actually what we as a business, and why I say we, is because when you're with eXp Realty and you earn stock, if you earn stock due to your transactions, because you always get stock on your first transaction, whether you invest personally or not, or if you have a contribution program, which I know I have of 5%, I know I have a handful of 1,000 shares in eXp itself, and for me to know that, I don't have shares in eXp Realty. I have shares, my family has shares in eXp World Holdings. So when World Holdings owns Virbela, and we start watching Virbela get more onto the map, my stock is going up because of the Virbela picture. So there's many different aspects, and based on SEC, I cannot speculate where stock will go or make any promises about that, but strength. So when you look into the virtual capacity of how it serves, that is what you have in the empowerment of what eXp provides on the Virbela side. So many campuses are coming in and conventions are reorganizing themselves through the Virbela capacity, but Forbes has also mentioned how the virtual worlds are serving, and whether it's Virbela or any other, the virtual world is now on the map even more than it ever has been before. So with understanding that the community of the world provides connection, it provides community, and Virbela, like I mentioned earlier, Glenn Sanford has opened the entire platform for everyone to go in to make sure that you can have connection with your family and friends. If you just want to download Virbela and get together, you're able to do that through this provision as well. The virtual model is also, as mentioned, saving the brokerage franchises because the fixed expenses do not change. So to keep the expenses under control, you want to maintain the ability for your agents to still have a place to go to connect, to be trained, and to have their administrative roles conducted for them. And so within the eXp world, you can seamlessly move into that empowerment. So it brings everything to your fingertips. I'm going to give you 3 more questions for fun. In America, where can you find the most expensive real estate for rent that's anywhere in the world? In America, where can you find the most expensive retail space for rent anywhere in the world? So New York City. On 5th Avenue, some retail space rents at the rate of $580 per square foot. I won't tell you what my rent is per square foot in the Publix Plaza, but that's certainly not my price per square foot. So in New York City, on Fifth Avenue, some of those rents go as high as $580 per square foot. Our second question is, what famous American building is modeled after the Palace of the Duke of Leinster in Ireland? What famous American building is modeled after the Palace of the Duke of Leinster in Ireland? That would be the White House in Washington, D.C. Very interesting. Our final question in trivia is, what amenity do 48% of all homes in the new housing market have? What amenity do 48% of all homes in the new housing market have? The answer is 48% of all newly constructed homes now have 2.5 baths or more, and that is up from 1985 when only 29% had more than 2 bathrooms. Very interesting about the new construction that now have 2.5 baths or more, which is an increase from 1985 when only 29% of homes at new construction points back then had more than 2 bathrooms. So, in conclusion, eXp World offers community and connection. And as a non-franchise company, being a shareholder offers the agent ownership, which creates support as a united interest. When you have 30,000 or nearly 30,000 agents with one united interest for the earning potential of the stock that they have within the business that is agent owned and operated, then they are always having a vested interest to ensure that all of the bells and whistles that they were ever promised with eXp is sustained, and the amount of provisions and service that we are empowered to be able to pay forward is what we do pay forward with conviction, with purpose, and with passion. And so once again, I will always be offering on these lives each week the free guest pass. It is for 60 days, which is increased from the 2-week standard guest pass previously to this quarantine. For 60 days, you would have education available to you for your continued education on many different topics, from lead generation to broker relations to contract classes and many other. And that is available to you simply by messaging me, and I will send you the guest pass. You do not have to join eXp to do this. Of course, we welcome you. We hope you see the advantages. But again, a healthy, robust real estate industry sustained by capable realtors who did not miss their stepping is going to keep a real estate industry for our agents to continue to thrive amongst. So please message me, and in the meantime, every week at Monday at 4 p.m., I will be here live to summarize notes that I will take from the leadership team of eXp Realty, the 4 that come on to Zoom, and whoever their guest speaker will be with each week respectively, and I will give you all the information that I possibly can, and I look forward to serving you. Until next week, stay safe, stay in community, and live intentionally and on purpose. Be proactive, not reactive.